When struggling artist Sophia Chen literally falls into the arms of tech billionaire Vincent Harrington during a storm, neither expects their collision to ignite a dangerous obsession that will change both their lives forever. Hey there, romance lovers. Tonight we dive into a world where every choice has a cost and every moment matters. Shall we step into it? Rain hammered the streets of Manhattan like nature's own percussion section. Sophia Chen pulled her thin jacket tighter around her shoulders as she hurried down Fifth Avenue, her worn sneakers splashing through puddles that reflected the neon glow of the city. The Metropolitan Museum's grand steps loomed ahead, slick with rain and surprisingly crowded for such a miserable evening. She clutched her portfolio case against her chest, protecting the artwork inside from the downpour. Tonight's gallery showing had been another disappointment. The curator barely glanced at her paintings before dismissing them as too emotional and not commercially viable. The rejection stung, but Sophia had grown accustomed to closed doors and polite rejections. Her phone buzzed with a text from Grace, her roommate and best friend. How did it go? Crossing fingers for good news. Sophia grimaced. She'd have to deliver another disappointment when she got home to their tiny apartment in Queens. The rent was overdue, her art supplies were nearly depleted, and her waitressing job at the corner diner barely covered groceries. But she refused to give up on her dreams, even when they seemed impossible. Lost in her thoughts and fighting against the wind, Sophia didn't notice the crowd gathering around the museum's entrance. A black limousine idled at the curb, while photographers huddled under umbrellas, their cameras ready. Some kind of charity gala was ending, and wealthy patrons were making their grand exits. Sophia quickened her pace, wanting to escape the pretentious display of wealth. Her foot caught on the edge of a marble step, worn smooth by countless visitors. Time seemed to slow as she felt herself falling forward, her portfolio flying from her grip, paintings scattering in the wind and rain. She braced for the painful impact with cold stone, but instead found herself caught by strong, steady arms. The collision knocked the breath from her lungs, and for a moment she found herself pressed against a warm, solid chest that smelled faintly of expensive cologne and something uniquely masculine. Easy there, a deep voice said, tinged with concern and something that might have been amusement. These steps can be treacherous in the rain. Sophia looked up into the most striking pair of gray eyes she'd ever seen.
Oh.
The man holding her was tall and lean, with dark hair that was slightly damp from the rain. He wore an impeccably tailored black tuxedo that probably cost more than she made in 6 months. His face was angular and handsome, with the kind of confident bearing that came from never having to worry about money. "I'm so sorry," Sophia stammered, suddenly aware that she was still in his arms, still pressed against his chest. Heat flooded her cheeks as she tried to step back. "I didn't mean to crash into you like that, my paintings." She turned frantically, watching her artwork being destroyed by the rain. Months of work, her best pieces were being reduced to soggy paper and running colors. Tears mixed with raindrops on her face as she knelt to gather what remained. Without hesitation, the stranger knelt beside her, his expensive tuxedo getting soaked and stained as he helped collect her ruined paintings. His bodyguard stepped forward with an umbrella, but the stranger waved him away. "These are beautiful," he said quietly, examining a partially damaged landscape. Even waterlogged, Sophia's talent was evident in every brushstroke. "You painted these?" Sophia nodded miserably. "You were supposed to be my ticket out of waitressing." "I had a showing tonight," but she trailed off, not wanting to burden a stranger with her failures. "But they didn't appreciate true artistry," he finished, his voice carrying an edge of anger that surprised her. "Their loss." He gathered the last of the paintings with careful hands, as if they were precious artifacts rather than ruined canvases. "I'm Vincent," he said, offering his hand. "Vincent Harrington." The name hit Sophia like lightning. Vincent Harrington, the tech billionaire, whose face graced magazine covers and business journals. The man who'd built a software empire before turning 30. The same Vincent Harrington who was rumored to be worth more than some small countries. "Sophia Chen," she managed, her voice barely audible over the rain. "And you just ruined your tuxedo for some nobody's paintings."
Ice.
Vincent's eyes flashed. "You're not nobody, Sophia Chen, and this tuxedo can be replaced. Your art cannot. Thomas approached discreetly. You have the board meeting at 8 tomorrow morning? Vincent nodded, but didn't move. Studied Sophia with an intensity that made her feel exposed, yet strangely protected. She was shivering now, her thin jacket no match for the November chill, her lips tinged blue with cold. Where do you live? Vincent asked. Queens, Sophia replied automatically, then flushed at how humble it sounded compared to his world. Thomas, have Marcus bring the car around to take Miss Chen home? Oh no, Sophia protested, stepping back. I can take the subway. I don't need you need to get warm and dry, Vincent interrupted gently but firmly. Safe. Please let me do this. There was something in his voice's sincerity that cut through her defenses. Against her better judgment, Sophia found herself nodding. As they settled into the limousine's plush interior, Vincent's phone rang. The name on the screen made his jaw tighten. Alina Volkov. He declined the call, but Sophia caught the flash of something dark in his eyes. Fear, perhaps, or rage. Whatever. It transformed his face completely, revealing glimpses of a man haunted by shadows she couldn't begin to understand. 3 weeks later, Sophia stood in Vincent's penthouse gallery, surrounded by her own paintings professionally restored and beautifully framed. Soft jazz played in the background while rain drummed against floor-to-ceiling windows that offered a breathtaking view of Central Park. I can't accept this, she whispered, touching the frame of her grandmother's portrait. The painting that had been nearly destroyed was now more beautiful than ever. This must have cost a fortune. Vincent emerged from the shadows, carrying 2 glasses of wine. He'd traded his usual business attire for dark jeans and a cashmere sweater that clung to his lean frame. Consider it an investment in talent. This isn't an investment. This is charity. Sophia's voice carried an edge of wounded pride. I'm not your charity case, no, Vincent said, stepping closer. You're something much more dangerous. The air between them crackled with unspoken tension. Over the past 3 weeks, Vincent had inserted himself into her life with surgical precision. He'd paid her overdue rent claiming. It was an advance on commissioned work. He'd replaced her art supplies. He'd even gotten her a showing at one of Manhattan's most prestigious galleries. But it was the quiet moments that undid her. The way he listened when she talked about her grandmother. How he remembered she liked her coffee black with 2 sugars. The intensity in his gray eyes when he thought she wasn't looking. Why are you doing this? Sophia asked, setting down her wine untouched. Really? Don't give me some line about appreciating art? Vincent was quiet for a long moment, staring out at the storm. Do you know what it's like to have everything you touch turn to gold except the one thing that matters? Meaning what? Meaning I've built an empire, but I've never built anything real. His voice was raw, vulnerable in a way she'd never heard before. Until I saw your paintings. They're honest in a way I've forgotten how to be. Sophia felt her defenses crumbling. Vincent, I know what you're thinking, he continued, turning to face her. Rich man with too much money trying to buy something he can't have. Maybe you're right. But I haven't felt alive in years, Sophia. Not until that night in the rain. She wanted to step away, to protect herself from the magnetic pull she felt toward him. But there was something broken in his eyes that called to something equally broken in her. What happened to you? She asked softly. Vincent's phone buzzed. Insistently, Alina Volkov again. This time, he answered. Vincent. The woman's voice was smooth as silk, with a slight Russian accent that sent chills down Sophia's spine. 3 weeks of silence? That's not like you. I've been busy, Vincent replied, his entire demeanor shifting. The vulnerable man from moments, before it disappeared, replaced by someone cold and guarded. Busy with your little artist? Yes? How quaint. But you're forgetting something important, darling. Sophia watched Vincent's knuckles whiten as he gripped the phone. Alina, tomorrow night is the Meridian Hotel, presidential suite. You know what happens if you disappoint me again? The line went dead. Vincent stood frozen, staring at the phone, as if it were a loaded weapon. Who was that? Sophia asked, though her instincts already provided the answer. No one important, Vincent lied, but his hands were shaking. Don't lie to me. Sophia's voice was stronger now, artist's intuition reading. the fear written across his face. Who is Alina Volkov? Vincent's head snapped up. How do you know that name? I heard her on the phone. Vincent, what's going on? For a moment, she thought he might tell her the truth. But then his walls slammed back into place, and he became the distant billionaire. Again, it's complicated business matters. Nothing for you to worry about. Business matters don't make your hands shake. Vincent set down his wine glass with deliberate control. Perhaps you should go home, Sophia. It's getting late. The dismissal hit her like a slap. Just like that? One phone call and suddenly I'm being dismissed? For your own good? Stop treating me like I'm made of glass. Sophia's voice echoed through the penthouse. I've survived poverty, rejection, and loss. I think I can handle whatever this is. Vincent moved closer, and she saw something desperate. In his eyes, you don't understand what you're asking. So then help me understand. He reached for her face, his thumb tracing her cheekbone with infinite gentleness. Some prisons are built with gold bars, Sophia, and some debts can never be repaid. Before she could respond, the lights went out. Emergency lighting flickered on, casting eerie shadows across the gallery. Vincent immediately moved to shield her, his body tense with a readiness that spoke of experience with danger. Thomas, he called into his earpiece. Static crackled back, and then Thomas's voice, tight with urgency. Sir, we have a problem. Building. Security has been compromised. She's here. The emergency stairwell echoed with their footsteps as Vincent led Sophia down 47 floors. His hand never left the small of her back, guiding her through darkness while speaking in rapid, coded phrases to Thomas through his earpiece. Why are we running? Sophia gasped, her lungs burning from the descent. Because Alina doesn't make social calls, Vincent replied grimly. She doesn't forgive. They burst through the garage exit where Thomas waited beside a black sedan, engine running. As they sped through the empty streets, Sophia finally got her answer, wished she hadn't. Alina Volkov isn't just anyone, Vincent said, staring out at the city lights. She's the daughter of Dmitry Volkov, head of the Russian syndicate that controls half the tech contracts in Eastern Europe. 5 years ago, I made a deal with them to break into overseas markets. What kind of deal? Vincent's laugh was bitter. The kind where you sign away your soul for success. They funded my expansion, took a percentage of profits, and in return, I became their clean face for money laundering. I thought I could control it, manage it, like any other business partnership. Sophia felt ice forming in her stomach, and Alina was my handler, my keeper, and eventually my mistake. His voice dropped to barely a whisper. I fell for her act. The beautiful, dangerous woman who claimed to understand me. We were engaged. For 8 months. What happened? I found out she'd been recording everything. Every conversation, every intimate moment, every business detail. Insurance, she called it. To keep me in line. Vincent's hands clenched into fists. When I tried to leave, she made it clear that wasn't an option. The recordings, the financial entanglements, the accidents that happened to people who crossed the Volkovsy, was trapped. The car pulled into a warehouse district Sophia didn't recognize. Thomas killed the engine. We're safe here, Vincent said, helping her out. This is off the grid. The safe house was Spartan, but comfortable as stark contrast to Vincent's opulent penthouse. As they settled in, Sophia processed everything she'd learned. So when you met me, she said slowly, you were still owned by them? Yes. Vincent couldn't meet her eyes. But you changed everything, Sophia. For the first time in 5 years, I wanted to fight back, by dragging me into this nightmare. By finding something worth fighting for. The raw honesty in his voice made her chest ache. Despite everything, despite the danger he'd brought into her life, she felt herself falling deeper. But that was before Thomas walked back into the room, his expression carefully neutral. Sir, I've secured the perimeter. You should be safe for now, Vincent nodded. Thank you, Thomas. Get some rest. But as Thomas turned to leave, Sophia caught something that made her blood freeze, a small tattoo on his wrist, barely visible beneath his sleeve. A stylized wolf, the same symbol she'd seen on Elena's necklace in the photos Vincent had shown her. Thomas had been working for the Volkovs all along, Sophia's mind raced. How long had Vincent unknowingly trusted a traitor? How much did Alina know about their location, their plans, their feelings for each other? She looked at Vincent, who was checking security feeds on his laptop, completely unaware that his most trusted ally had been reporting his every move. The man she was falling in love with was walking blind into a trap, and she was the only one. Who could see it coming? But before she could speak, Vincent's laptop chimed with an incoming video call. Alina Volkov's face filled the screen. Her red lips curved in a predatory smile. "Hello, Vincent," Alina purred, her accent thicker than honey. "And hello, Miss Chen. How lovely to finally meet the woman who thinks she can steal what belongs." To me, Vincent's face went white. "How did you? Did you really think you could hide from me? In my own city?" Elena's laugh was like broken glass. "Thomas has been so helpful keeping me informed, haven't you, Thomas?" Vincent spun around to find Thomas pointing a gun directly at Sophia's heart. "I'm sorry, sir," Thomas said, his voice steady, but his eyes apologetic. "But some debts run deeper than loyalty." 10 minutes, Elena's voice echoed through the laptop speakers. "That's how long you have to decide, Vincent. Come back to me willingly, or watch your little artist become another tragic casualty of New York's dangerous streets." The video call ended, leaving them in suffocating silence. Thomas kept the gun trained on Sophia, while Vincent's mind raced through impossible calculations. "How long?" Vincent asked, his voice hollow. "How long have you been reporting to her?" "Since the beginning," Thomas admitted. "My sister owes the Volkovs money, gambling debts. They said they'd forgive everything if I kept watch over you." Sister Vincent's face cracked with betrayal. "Marina is safe in Portland. I've been sending money to her family for 3 years. Thomas's composure faltered. That's impossible." "Alina showed me photos of her. Said they had her in a warehouse in Brooklyn." Sophia saw it first, devastating realization dawning on Thomas's face. "She lied to you," Sophia whispered. "There is no sister in danger." "Is there?" "My sister died in a car accident 4 years ago," Thomas said slowly, the gun beginning to waver. "But Alina, she had pictures, details about Marina's life that only family would know." "Deepfakes," Vincent said grimly. "Lena's specialty. She creates perfect lies, complete with fabricated evidence." "Your sister has been dead for years, Thomas. Alina just found her grave and built a story around it." The gun dropped from Thomas's trembling hand as the full scope of his manipulation became clear. But their moment of revelation was shattered by the sound of footsteps on the warehouse stairs, too many footsteps, moving with military precision. "They're here," Vincent said, his voice deadly calm. He moved to a hidden panel in the wall, revealing an arsenal that spoke of preparation for this exact moment. "Thomas, the north exit leads to the subway tunnels. Take Sophia and run." "I'm not leaving you," Sophia said fiercely. Vincent spun around, his gray eyes blazing. "This is not a negotiation. Alina wants me, not you. Once you're gone, I can end this by surrendering to her, by doing what I should have done 5 years ago." Vincent pulled out a detonator and Sophia's blood turned to ice. "This warehouse is rigged. If I can't be free, at least I can make sure Alina can never hurt anyone. Else you're talking about suicide. I'm talking about justice." Sophia grabbed his face, forcing him to look at her. "There has to be another way. We can call the FBI, the police. With what evidence?" "The Volkovs own half the judges in this city," Vincent's voice broke. "I won't let them turn you into another. Alina, I won't let them destroy the only pure thing in my life." The footsteps were getting closer. Through the grimy windows, Sophia could see black SUVs surrounding the building. Vincent Elena's voice echoed through a megaphone. "You have 60 seconds before we come up. Bring the girl down, and perhaps we can discuss terms." Thomas stepped forward, his face etched with desperate resolve. "There's another way. The tunnels connect to the old pneumatic postal system. It leads directly to Grand Central. But someone needs to stay behind to trigger the security lockdown, or they'll follow." "I'll stay," Vincent said immediately. No, Thomas picked up his gun again. But this time he pointed it toward the stairwell. "This is my fault, my penance. Marina, forgive me." Vincent grabbed Thomas's arm. "You don't understand. The lockdown system is rigged to my biometrics. If anyone else tries to activate it, the whole building goes up immediately. Then we all die. Together, Sophia said quietly. Because I'm not leaving either of you. 30 seconds. Elena's voice was closer now, accompanied by the heavy tread of boots on metal stairs. Vincent pulled Sophia against him, his lips finding hers in a kiss. That tasted of desperation and goodbye. When they broke apart, his forehead pressed against hers. I love you, he whispered. I know it's crazy and impossible, and we've only known each other 3 weeks, but I love you. I love you too, Sophia replied, tears streaming down her face. Which is why I'm not letting you die for me, before anyone could stop her. Sophia lunged for the detonator. Vincent caught her wrist, just as her fingers closed around it. The tunnels, she said urgently. Both of you, go. I'll trigger the lockdown and follow right behind you. Sophia, no 10 seconds. Elena's voice was right outside the door now. I'm fast, Sophia insisted. It's faster than either of you. I can make it. Vincent's grip on her wrist tightened. I can't lose you, and I can't lose you either. Sophia smiled. Through her tears, so trust me. The door exploded inward. Armed figures in tactical gear poured through, with Alina Volkov walking calmly behind them. She was breathtakingly beautiful in a way that promised violence. Platinum blonde hair, ice blue, eyes, and a smile that could cut glass. Well, Alina said, surveying the scene. Isn't this cozy? Vincent, darling, you've caused me considerable inconvenience. Vincent stepped protectively in front of Sophia. Let her go, Alina. This is between us. Oh, but she's the best part. Alina's gaze fixed on Sophia with predatory interest. The little artist who thinks she can save the broken billionaire. How deliciously naive. Alina raised her hand, and one of her men aimed directly at Sophia's heart. Choose Vincent. Come with me now, or watch her die. You have 5 seconds to decide. 4. Sophia felt time crystallize around her. Elena's countdown echoed through the warehouse, while armed figures held their positions, waiting for orders. 3. Vincent's body was coiled to spring, but they both knew he couldn't reach Elena's men before they fired. Thomas stood frozen, his loyalty shattered but his training intact. 2. That's when Sophia realized the truth. Elena had made a fatal miscalculation. She'd assumed Sophia was the weakness in Vincent's armor, but she'd missed the real vulnerability. Wait, Sophia called out, stepping away from Vincent. Before you pull that trigger, Elena, there's something you should know about your insurance. Policy. Elena's hand paused mid-gesture. What are you talking about? The recordings you have of Vincent? The ones you've been using to control him? Sophia's voice gained strength as she spoke. I've seen them. Vincent stared at her in shock. Sophia, what are you doing? The night we met, Vincent, you were carrying something in your jacket pocket? A flash drive. Sophia kept her eyes locked on Elena while she spoke. You dropped it when you caught me on the museum steps. Elaine's confident expression flickered. Possible. Those recordings are secured in a Swiss bank deposit box that requires 2 keys to access, Sophia continued. Vincent's key and yours. Except Vincent made copies before you ever knew he suspected you. The lie flowed from Sophia's lips with an artist's practiced ease. She was painting with words now, creating a masterpiece of deception. The real question, Elena, is what happens when the FBI gets their hands on 5 years of recorded confessions? Your father's money laundering operations, your human trafficking routes. The judges and politicians you've bought, it's all there. Elena's composure cracked completely. You're blasting, little artist. Vincent is many things, but he's not that. Clever? No, Sophia said, pulling out her phone and showing Elena a single screenshot Vincent's cloud storage folder labeled insurance, but I am. Elena's eyes went wide. While she'd been focused on controlling Vincent, she'd never suspected that Sophia might be more than just a lovesick artist. You see, Sophia continued, I didn't just study art in college. I double majored in computer forensics. I've spent the last 3 weeks not just falling in love with Vincent, but documenting every single digital trace of your organization. 1. But Elena didn't give the order to fire. Instead, she stepped forward, studying Sophia with new interest. Clever girl. Yeah. But you're forgetting something important. Elena smiled coldly. I don't negotiate with amateurs. It's when Thomas made his choice. Years of genuine loyalty to Vincent overcame months of manipulation. He moved with the speed of his military training, tackling two of Elena's men while shouting, "Go!" Now, Vincent grabbed Sophia's hand and they ran for the tunnel entrance as gunfire erupted behind them. The old pneumatic postal tubes were narrow and treacherous, but they led them through the underground maze toward Grand Central Station. Behind them, the warehouse erupted in flames, not from Vincent's detonator, but from Elena's fury at being outmaneuvered. They emerged into the pre-dawn light of Grand Central's lower level, gasping and covered in dust. Police sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. Is it over? Sophia asked. Vincent pulled out his phone, showing her a news alert. FBI raids Russian money laundering operation. International arrests made. Thomas, she whispered, made it out. He's the one who called the FBI. Vincent's voice was thick with emotion. Turns out he'd been gathering evidence for months, trying to find a way to protect both of us. 6 months later, Sophia stood in the Whitney Museum, watching visitors admire her latest exhibition, Shadows and Light, a study in redemption. The centerpiece was a painting of two figures caught in an embrace during a storm on falling, one catching, both forever changed by the collision. Vincent approached from behind, slipping his arms around her waist. Any regrets? He asked softly. Sophia leaned back against him, feeling the solid warmth of his chest. The man who'd once been trapped by golden handcuffs now dedicated his wealth to fighting the very corruption he'd once been part of. It hadn't been easy, the legal battles, the therapy, the slow process of learning to trust again. To only one, she said, turning in his arms. What's that? I wish we'd met earlier, before the pain, before the scars. Vincent's thumb traced her cheekbone, just as it had that first night. But then we wouldn't be who we are now. And I wouldn't change who we've become. Through the museum's windows, rain began to fall, gentle this time, washing the city clean. Somewhere across town, Elena Volkov sat in a federal prison cell, her empire of shadows finally brought into the light.
Oh.
Sophia stood on her tiptoes and kissed the man who'd caught her when she fell, knowing that sometimes the most beautiful art comes from the deepest darkness. And sometimes, just sometimes, broken people can heal each other completely. The end.